Hi everyone, this is Isaac Steincamp, General Manager of the Pittsburgh Pawngrabbers and Ready for Chess Summit, the official sponsor of the Pittsburgh Pro Chess League team. And I'm here today to report the round 4 matchup that we had with Webster Windmills last night. A matchup that was close, a matchup that was exciting, a matchup that unfortunately we just could not pull down and get our first result. We wound up losing 5-11, but I think on a whole we played reasonably well. We had a couple last-second lineup changes right before the deadline that kind of affected our players' idea and understanding of who they would play before the match. So that kind of changed things a little bit. But that being said, I think, the way that we lost, it was really just, an early round 2 route that kind of cost us the match. We held pretty close in all the 3 other rounds, I'd say. We lost 1.5 to 2.5 in round 1. We tied 2-2 in round 3. And we only lost 1-3 in round 4, but that was a round where we already were taking a lot of risks because we had to get a sweep to get a result that match. So, considering that we were 100 points lower rated in every single one of the matches that we had, and, we weren't really supposed to do that much damage, I think that we were really close to making this game a contest and almost, were able to give Webster a run for their money. So I'm pretty excited about how this matchup went. When I look at how our team did on a whole, I again look to time trouble as probably like the biggest thing that can probably help our team get a lot better, is if that we can manage our time a lot better. We'll find ourselves to be scoring a lot of points, but obviously this comes with a lot of practice, and, for this being our first season in the Pro Chess League, and with a lot of our players not having that rapid experience that some of these grandmasters and other teams have, it makes these kind of interesting matchups where we're really focusing on a lot of home preparation to go into these matchups. And in some of these games we did see where that really made a big difference, and, I think that definitely helped us get on the scoreboard. So 5-11, it was a loss, but I think we played reasonably well. 0 out of 4 is not how you want to start any sort of season, whether it be football, basketball, soccer, or in this case, chess. But, when I look to the rest of our schedule, for the first time of the entire season, we'll be favored in a matchup going into our match with Lagos on February 11th, a team from Nigeria, our first ever international matchup. And again, in our final game of the season against the Portland Rain, a critical matchup for us in the Western Division, as I guess you could say the two cellar dwellers of the West will be matching up against each other to prove that we had a lot stronger teams than a lot of people gave us credit for. So I'm really excited about the rest of the season going forward. I think that we've got a lot of interesting matches ahead. And this definitely helped show us that, while our team has grown, there's still a lot of room for improvement and a lot of things that we'll be thinking about in the offseason to help us get ready for the Pro Chess League in 2017-2018. So, that being said, I think that we have a lot of good things going forward for us. Time control, even though it didn't really help us out that much, it did make for a lot of really exciting games. We had a lot of games go down to the wire. I feel like more of them went towards Webster just because of, skill and experience. But that being said, we did have a couple go our way, and it made the match really exciting. And I thought that I could highlight that best with a round 3 moment between Alexander Shabalov, our board 1, against their board 2, Vasif Durabaili, and what was a really crazy endgame. And if we go to the scoreboard here, this was a position that was reached in the game. And I think at around this point, both players had maybe 30 seconds left. And as we'll find really shortly, Black is going to wind up winning this whole game. But it's not so simple, especially when you only have 30 seconds left. So, we needed to win this game to make sure that we could stay alive in the match mathematically. And so this made this game a little bit scary just because, we didn't really know what to expect. When I look at this position, all I see, when I'm looking at this, and if I've got 30 seconds, it's like, oh my goodness, White's got 3 passed pawns, and yes, we have this one really advanced pawn on f3, but how are we going to be able to advance this with this bishop safeguarding the f1 square? So there's still some technique involved, and I was really impressed with how Shabalov carried out the rest of the game. White decided to get the queens off the board with queen to c5 check, and after queen takes c5, b takes c5, it really does seem like White's getting these pawns rolling. Already we have a move towards the 8th rank, and these pawns seem like they're going to have a good time going down, but Shabalov decided it was time to bring in not just the f-pawn more into action, but bring in another pawn to help do the task. He played this move e5, and after bishop to d3, rook to e1 was played to help make sure that this pawn could get to e4. So rook to d2, e4, bishop to b5. So what White's doing is activating his pieces too. In the last couple of moves, we've already seen that this white rook has gotten activated, this bishop is cutting off the king on e7, and all of a sudden it's not really clear how we're stopping this pawn on c5 from promoting. So accuracy is needed here. So after e3, rook d7, king f6, c6, the question becomes, how do we wind up stopping this pawn? How do we get behind this pawn and win? Because rooks belong behind passed pawns. Unfortunately, the c2 pawn's in the way, and what Shabalov came up with, while it wound up winning the game, it actually allowed for a tactical 3-move repetition if Durabaili had seen it. In this position, white played the move c7 and wound up losing. But if he had played the move king to b2, we would have actually seen that this idea of playing e2, the idea being that if king takes, we do promote with check with the queen, and we're in time to stop this pawn, doesn't necessarily work because white doesn't have to take the rook. He can play c7, and actually we will reach a 3-move repetition. Black's pieces are kind of out of the game, so it makes less sense for him to try to play on when this king is really exposed. So the logical conclusion there would have been a draw. But this is already somewhat difficult to see, this whole idea of e2, e1. So what would have been winning would have been f2. And the idea is that after c7, bishop to b7, and now it's black's bishop that's in the game, defending the promotion square of white's pawn. And there's not really that much that white can do to stop the promotion. As we can see here, black is just a clean piece up. The promotion square is still protected. And at the right moment, we'll see that this king can weave up and protect this pawn and help it promote, and we'll at least get the rook for it. So this would have been the winning way. But Shabalov got lucky here because his opponent played c7, but the position is still very complicated. A lot of accuracy is needed. So after rook takes c2, king to b1, rook to c5. After b4, rook c3, king b2. For a second, it seems like, wait a minute, this rook can't stay behind this pawn anymore. This pawn is going to queen, and the game will be over. But here, actually, Shabalov realized that he could play e2 because now we promote with check. And this is a really important detail, and actually a theme that will help win this endgame. So after queen to e1 check, king to b3, queen b1, king a3, we reach this position, and after f2, again, it seems like, okay, well, black is going to promote this pawn, but what happens if we play this move bishop to c4 so we get a queen of our own? Already, black is winning even if both of these pawns queen, but Shabalov found an even nicer resource here. Queen takes bishop check, the idea being now that we promote with check, and now this game is just completely winning. Because after king to c5, the queen reaches c6, and now that we realize both of these are dropping, and that will be the game. So this was a really nice endgame technique kind of, game by Shabalov. Obviously, c7 would have been it wasn't super accurate from white, but keep in mind that both players here are juggling with 30 seconds. They only have a 2-second increment. There's a lot of pressure now on Shabalov because we needed him to win to be able to guarantee that we had a shot at getting a result in the fourth set. So this was actually a really exciting game. He played a lot of really exciting chess this round, not just with this game against Durabaili, but in his other 3 games as well. If you aren't a Pittsburgh Pro Chess League fan, or if you haven't really been following us throughout the season, you really should. I mean, a lot of Shabalov's games, whether or not they go our way or they go in the favor of the other team, have been really exciting, and there's a lot of really interesting tactical complications that are great late-night television, we'll put it that way. So this is a great win by Shabalov to help us stay in the match. At this point, it made it 4-8. We went into the last round knowing that we needed a sweep, but we also knew that was asking a lot from our players too. At that point, Shabalov was about to play Ray Robson, Webster's top player, and we had a lot of our players playing GMs who were national masters. And I think we fared reasonably well in some of those matchups. We had a lot of players do some really cool things last night. So, for example, Alexander Hyman, one of our players who's played for us throughout the entire season, he drew Vasif Durabaili, a result that we weren't necessarily expecting going into the first round. And Aaron Grabinski, who plays for Webster, his undefeated record was ended last night by Gabe Pettish, our own FM from Pittsburgh. So a lot of really encouraging things from our matchups last night with some really exciting games. So our next matchup is going to be with the Lagos Leatherbacks from Nigeria. This will be Pittsburgh's first ever international matchup. It's definitely something that we've been looking forward to all season. We've heard about the Lagos Leatherbacks because they play in a different division than us, but we haven't really gotten to see how they play. So this week we'll be trying to break down how do they play, who are their best players. We noticed that one of their 1700s beat a GM in their last match, so shout out to whoever that is from Lagos. We can't figure it out by your username, but congrats. We're definitely expecting a tough matchup, but we're hoping we can pull through. And we've got Lagos on the 11th, and then we have a quick turnaround to the last week of the regular season. On the 15th, we play the Portland Rain, so that should also be an exciting matchup. So make sure to tune in. Our match on Saturday, on February 11th, is going to be at 2 p.m. I'm not sure exactly how the videos will come out after that. I'll actually be in Europe playing at the Dolomiten Bank Open in Lienz, Austria, so I won't be able to exactly report as easily as I have been here throughout the season. But make sure to stay tuned through our Twitter feed and through our Facebook news feed, if you will. And that's how you can keep in touch with us. So make sure you follow us on Twitter. Use the hashtag Nerves of Steel to follow us throughout the rest of the season. Let's go black and gold.